Another episode of the Horns Down podcast. Y'all see who I'm with. I got Jason from the Hall of Fame podcast, and I also have my guy Coop from the Unfair Sports as well. Y'all, we're here to preview the OU UCF matchup. Let's do that after this intro.
You know, there's a lot of great OU podcasts, but there's only one where the horns are always down. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Horns Down Podcast.
It's a 7 o'clock on Thursday. I got tired of watching James Madison and Marshall, so I said, you know what, let's do a pod. So I got these two guys to come on here with me, and yeah, hey, but hey, in all honesty, it looked like it's a pretty good game. So I'm gonna get back to that in a second, but we have a game of our own on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. The Sooners are back in action off of the Texas win, huge win, great win, all the rest of that stuff. We had our laughs, we had our, our moments to, really stick it to the Texas fans and all the rest of that stuff. But we're not here for that tonight. What we're here for is to preview this matchup and talk about what's next for this team, for Team 129, right? So with that being said, Coop, I'm gonna pass it to you. Just kind of just go ahead and let everybody know what's your general thoughts about this matchup between the Sooners and the Golden Knights.
It's all about eye candy. This is going to be a game with Gus Malzahn. I mean, this guy he's been there. He's done a great job when he's had special players, and my opinions are pretty well known that Reese Plumlee is not somebody that I'm terribly scared of his arm. But if you allow him to use his legs, that arm becomes more dangerous, just like the Eric Crouch of old and stuff like that. Now, they're not running that type of an offense, but they're going to have a lot of motion, a lot of movement. People are going to have to stay disciplined with their eyes. And it's a good test to come back off of, the OU Texas game because, we were 1-0 in week 6. And now that we're here, it's time to go 1-0 again. So the defense is going to have to do their job in keeping discipline. I'm really interested to see how Kanik, McCullough, these guys go, when it's all time to play, because I believe in Danny. I think he's going to do it. Don't be surprised if they get some chunk plays. They're going to, I think that they're third in the nation in rushing offense. So they're good at what they do, right? And so this is a good chance for us to bow up, show the 10 days of additional practice, game film, technique, strategy, and if you stay disciplined, it's going to be great, because one thing that they like to do is they like to run it wide. They like to throw those bubbles, and that's going to produce a lot of tackles for loss for us. So if you stay disciplined, we stay on schedule.
Mm-hmm. No, honestly, I'll piggyback off of that and just say this right here before I pass it to Jason. But I kind of liken it to being on a pretty damn good vacation. You're on that vacation high, and now you kind of come back to reality. Reason why I say that is simply because of this. And then Coop, I think I said this on y'all's show this past Sunday, whenever we did that show together. But you're transitioning back from playing a team that's going to play you straight up to playing teams that are now trying to get the ball out of their hands as quickly as possible. So you're going to see a lot of screens, probably a lot of jailbreak screens, probably some for the wide receivers, probably see some running back screens as well. You probably see, obviously just some bubble screens, different things like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if they try to take some shots here and there as well. That Malzahn offense is going to allow you to do some of those things. So this is another really good test for us. It's all about eye discipline, but I feel like we're healthy now, especially in our secondary, with some guys coming back. Have you guys heard anything about Kenai Walker? Is he going to be available?
I believe that Venables said he covered everybody right after the Texas post game. I think that the guys that we won't see are going to be, on defense. I think you're going to see everybody besides Harrington. He said the defensive room was back to normal outside of anything that we knew surgery-wise. So we should have a full complement of defensive backs, and we should get to see quite a few people. I know that Vickers is back. Josiah Wagner's feeling good. Gentry's fine. Just give him the IV about mid first quarter and keep him out there.
Yeah, so yeah, no, I'm excited about what this defense could put out there. Jason, I'll ask you kind of a flip question to that. What Andrell Anthony is out. Obviously, he's injured for the rest of the year. He's going to be out for the rest of the year, so that's a big loss.
Sure.
But at the same time, how do we adjust and how do you see our pass attack against their defense working out?
I think that it gives opportunity, obviously, but I think that when you've seen Mr. Anderson, Nick Anderson, it's been coming in doing, he's got 11 catches and 5 of them for touchdowns or 6 of them for touchdowns, whatever it is. Kind of been wanting to see him in the game a little bit more anyway. I think it's obviously going to give more opportunity to Jaden as well, Jaden Gibson. And then, you might even get to start seeing a little bit of our speed guy that came in from Texas, look, I think that the one thing, and this is something I was talking about with Coach I and those guys on their show the other night, is that the depth at the receiver position is probably the strength of this offense, But I think that this week is going to be more about rushing more than anything else. I think you need to run the football. Kansas put up 399 rush yards. That followed Baylor getting only 153, but that all came probably in the last couple of minutes of the game when they came back from nowhere and won it. And then Kansas State put up 281. They're averaging giving up 277 yards on the ground in conference play. They're one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the country themselves at running the football. But if they're not going to stop it, then you're going to open up a lot of areas for Oklahoma to kind of do their thing. And I think that if that's the one thing is that you've been able to pass the ball already. Now, if you're going to be able to get some running lanes and get some of these guys going, I would suspect. I hope that Tawi is. I'm kind of ready to see him be featured. If they're gonna, he's been carrying the load a lot. I'd really like to see him be featured a little more. And if he is, and they get some big runs early on, I mean, you're going to end up seeing a lot of wide open sideline routes. It looks like they struggle with that. I think they're going to try to probably press these guys. So we're going to. It's an opportunity for them to kind of show their toughness, But I got to tell you, something that I was watching. One of the things I was watching on the Oklahoma Breakdown with Teddy and Gabe, and I'd been thinking about this as well, but I think this is kind of a get-back game for not just Dylan Gabriel, who's taken a lot of heat from the UCF people, but also Jeff Lebby. He thought he was going to be the head coach of that football team.
Yeah, and that goes to Chicken's comment. Besides Texas, this is the most personal game when both offense, defense leaders want this. They want this bad. Oh yeah, yep. It's a focus. So yeah, I mean, you're starting to kind of hear that trickle in a little bit this week, as far as this is kind of a personal game that they think for Lebby, most certainly, simply because of how that all played out. As far as him not being the coach, Malzahn is there. I'm sure that he won't say that, but that's something in the back of everybody's mind. I think that's going on right now. So it'll be nice. And I think, also you have the narrative of, I think Dylan Gabriel would love to have a, Heisman type performance, something that just kind of adds to the stat book, something that just adds to the flair or to the lore behind his Heisman campaign right now. I mean, it's, it's crazy to it's a real thing. Dylan Gabriel for Heisman, it's a real thing now. Yeah.
And like Teddy and those guys are saying, it's time to pad some stats a little bit when you come up against a defense that's struggling the way this one is. They're not big. They're not huge on the defensive line. They have a weird way about them. Now I think they're gonna try to dial up some pressure, though. I mean, I think it's clear that you're gonna have to, but if you do that, then that's you're gonna have to give up something on the back end. So if you do that, and that's gonna end up probably opening up a lot of these guys. And like I said, I think the more you see of Nick Anderson, the better. And then Jaden Gibson, this is a chance for him to get rolling. I think some of these younger guys are going to get opportunities in the passing game that, and then I think Jalil Farouk, after what we saw out of him in the Red River game and the tough running catching the ball and making something out of short plays. Hey man, the dude's the real deal, and I think that he's starting to kind of monster out, if you will. Just when he gets the ball, he's pumped. He wants to make big plays, and I think he's wanting to prove that he is the man to go to. This is a chance to do that. But yeah, I think you hit it on the head when it comes to the Heisman stuff. I think everybody's chasing Michael Penix, but if they lose the game and Dylan can continue to put up numbers the way he has been, maybe toss in a couple of rushing touchdowns or something in this game, or over the rest of it, because he's got 6 or 7 of them now.
Yeah,
it's definitely he's in the top 3 already as it is with the odds are concerned. But I think there's some tough games for Penix to play coming up, and so I think that if Oklahoma does what they're supposed to do, and like you've said, show some maturity, grow up, handle your business, then I think that everything's in front of them.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing is that I would say this: Penix has the tougher schedule. We have the trickier schedule, if that makes sense. If you guys get what I'm saying, simply because, I'll put it like this right here: we go and beat the hell out of UCF this weekend, if that's a possibility. Then the next game against Kansas, Jalen Daniels shows up, and then it's 35-32 game or whatnot, right? And then OSU just magically shows up and just plays out their mind in a Red River game, which we haven't seen them do in the past two or 3 years. Oh well, they beat us that 1 year. But yeah. So 2 out of the 3 years that we've played them, the last 2 out of 3 years, I mean, they haven't really shown up. So you kind of just ask yourself, what are we going to get? So I feel like we have a trickier schedule, but it's still a good enough schedule to get him to where you would like to see him. And, I think he's going to get a trip to New York. But as far as winning it, I think it's now or never. So let's get to this question here, though. Stephen G, he asked, question for the panel: has Tawi earned a Scully? Coop? I believe he hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, you got to think that if you give Gavin Freeman a scholarship after 3 or 4 touches last year, I mean, Tawi's got to get one, right? I think that it's time to go. He'll get his scholarship if it's not already been mentioned. It's time. I don't see any way he doesn't.
He's the lead back. He's the guy that makes it go right now in the running room and the running back room. And I think that obviously you'd like to see these younger guys kind of step up and do their thing. And I think, but look, man, all he does is get hard yards and score touchdowns whenever you need him to. So yeah, he earned it.
That was a beautiful run, or whenever he caught that pass and then he spin off those guys whenever they try to hit him. He's I think you can go ahead and feature him. I'd like to see Sawchuk obviously get some action. I know I sound like a broken record right now, but
I think everybody would, but something's obviously up there, right, Chris? I mean, he's either not getting it done in practice and stuff because you know how Jeff is. He's not going to play you if you're not getting it done in the blocking game, in the scheme like that. I mean, I don't know what it is, but something's wrong.
I got here's a question, Coop. I'll go to you on this one. Have you heard anything about Javonte Barnes? Is he out for the year, or is he? I mean, I know he's still dealing with that toe issue, but I mean, haven't really been definitive.
I'm going to throw this out, and I can't remember where exactly I heard it, but it was the second time. There's a chance he might redshirt. He has played in 3 games, and he's got the obvious injury. I'm hearing that we'll actually see some more Sawchuk this weekend. So now, show me state, right? Let's you gotta show me for me to believe in it. But yeah, I as far as Javonte Barnes, it's if you cannot, as a running back, if you can't trust your feet, it's kind of like a point guard in basketball. If you've got a bum ankle or whatever, outside of Steph Curry, I mean, because he can play with a bum ankle because he can just pull up from wherever. But yeah, I mean, that's what it is. And so you see it when Barnes is running. Most of the time when he's taken off, it looks like he's afraid to be sudden, and he doesn't have that capability to be sudden. And we already have enough people who can just run into the back of the offensive lineman. So, let's continue to watch if you see him show up this week or next week, because let's be honest, these next 2 weeks are, sieves for defenses, and when it comes to stopping the run. And if we can't approach 200 yards in the next 2 weeks, that's scary. And I'm not talking about 113 from Dylan. If you do that against Texas, that's great. That's now all on tape now. So, but yeah, so if Barnes is going to redshirt, then we might have seen him for the last time. I just don't know with what you have coming in if he feels super confident in coming back. I mean, I don't. A lot of the times when doctors, players, coaches get together with injuries, it's very, very rare that everybody is on the same page. And if he's
because BV said in the press conference he thought they want to give him touches for the rest of the year. That's what he said in the press conference, but obviously that's not the case.
Yeah, and I definitely want to double up my 401k in the next 10 years, but
hey, I mean, look, and Sooner in Texas says, yes, Coop, that is also what I've read. Bourne's out 4 to 6 weeks and may end up redshirting. I think one of the things, and here we go, Coop, you'll like this, competitive death, right? I think the thing is that you got 2 freshmen that I think that are ready.
Shout out to Bucky's.
Yeah. but you have 2 freshmen in Smothers and Hicks. I think one of them could kind of fill that void, at least for the time being, to keep him, healing at a good rate. And then you get Taylor, you get the kid from Carl Albert, all the rest of that in next year, and you kind of have some decisions to make as far as what you want to do to keep that room full like that, or do you want to, manage it a little bit better? But here's the next question that I have for before we get to this question here, here's what I want to do. Let's just highlight UCF a little bit more. Now, I know we could talk about the stats. I know we could talk about the losses, different things like that. Now, their quarterback is coming back. We know he's coming off of a pretty, I wouldn't say major, but a pretty, I don't know. I mean, those are kind of, they carry the same weight.
Apparently.
Yeah. So it is
for a running quarterback.
Yeah. So the thing is I guess I would just like to give them some light and just see what you guys think of them as in the bits and pieces that you've seen of UCF. Like, what is the one thing that they could do to, I guess, exploit us or really make this a game?
Jason, you want to hit it off first?
Well, I think that, to me, I have a hard time seeing them doing it because if they can establish the run, and I think they're going to do that early, and as you've seen on that line, and they even do some weird stuff blocking. I was watching some of their games where the linemen actually flip sideways. Have you seen that? It's like they show their back. So I have a hard time. I think obviously what you've seen over the past few years, which this is not the same football team. And I mean, we've been stressing that over and over again, and we saw it in the Red River, but other than them overlooking them, I think that it would just be if you allow Plumlee to get out of the pocket and do his thing. Because he's not a pocket quarterback. He's a get out of the pocket and run guy. That in the past has been the Achilles heel for Oklahoma, but I don't really think, I mean, after what we saw that they did against Cincinnati, and you feel better about that than what you have. And plus the fact that Plumlee's knee's bad. Guy, he was before he got here to UCF, he was a freaking receiver, at Ole Miss. So, I mean, this guy isn't, if you're taking his legs away, I have a hard time thinking that they should be. There's no reason they should be in this game aside from Oklahoma being sleepwalking on the field. There's just no reason.
The good thing about it is that you've seen this attack pretty much all year from some of the I guess on our schedule, the better teams that you've seen, most recently being Iowa State. I mean, when I watch this offense, don't get me wrong, there are 2 different offenses, 2 different concepts. Right. But the fact of the matter is they're all running these bootleg actions for their quarterback. They're getting them out of the pocket and moving the pocket for them to get them comfortable. These quarterbacks, a lot of the quarterbacks that we faced I mean, you could put Quinn Ewers in that, but they,
Yeah.
you know, they're going to do what they do. Texas is the exception. I'm going to just put them aside. But these other teams or whatnot, as far as trying to attack us, they have been moving the pocket an awful lot. The quarterbacks that we played on those teams are comfortable. I feel they're more comfortable throwing on the run. It almost feels like watching Spencer Rattler with Lincoln, you know, because throwing on a run, that's
Sprint
when
right.
he was the most dangerous,
Sprint right.
right? Yeah, sprint right. Yeah. So
Yeah. And that's you know what Chicken said, he's been wearing that knee brace, and he was doing that in the game too, in the Kansas game when they had him in. But here's the thing, and I know what you're talking about with the Iowa State game.
yeah.
As soon as they shut that down, I mean, once they set the edge, because I think early on you saw that they had an issue with setting the edge there, and that allowed them to get some running lanes, and it also allowed Beck to be able to get some good pass plays off.
Yeah.
But once they settled down and stopped trying to just ball hawk everything, then you saw that there was really no movement for them. I mean, they went from, what was it, 276 in the first 20 minutes to like less than 100 the rest of the way. I mean, you know.
And y'all correct me, because I'm gonna the terminology is not necessarily there for me on with what Iowa State was doing, but I felt like wasn't it with their running game, because they were doing those, it was almost like a crackback almost, right? It was something, yeah, because the shift and all the rest of that they were catching those guys and trapping them. Because to be honest with you, I was surprised that Sark didn't do more of that in the Red River game. To be honest with you, he did it. It looked like he did it once. That one where Jonathan Brooks got loose and scored that touchdown.
Mhm.
So that was something that I was like, well, maybe UCF will look at that. But I see a lot of teams trying to use that. I see that happening to us an awful lot up there against Kansas for them trying to counter that pass rush, and then also trying to, you know, really get those bunch formations the way that they want to. So we're going to see a lot of that with Kansas. But no, I mean, UCF, they don't necessarily scare me at all. What scares me is if we go out there and we're just not, you know, it's really the letdown game. You know, is this going to be the letdown game or not?
But that's the beauty of the whole deal with Dylan Gabriel being all the trash that's been talked about him from their media and all their fans. You know, Twitter's abuzz about it, and it has been since the start of the year. And then also with the whole Jeff Lebby deal. I mean, don't you think so, Coop? I mean, I feel like that's a reason for you to stay awake and to be, you know, you want to come step on their neck and shut them up.
Well, I mean, let's just be honest here. Jeff Lebby thought he was going to be the next head coach, and then they went out and got Gus Malzahn. And I mean, that's something, right? Because I mean, you see in the NFL how many times, and I guess college football, how many times you see somebody get hired and you're like, sure, 11th time's a charm. This guy's going to start winning football games and do something with the program. Like, what in the hell? Because outside of Cam Newton, if I'm not mistaken, he's been just a good coach. Like, he's not been great, but I mean, you don't fall out of the ranks of Auburn and stuff like that to end up, you know, at UCF. And so, I mean, it is what it is, but I think they both want it. When you hear some of the interviews, you hear the maturity from this team, and they're like, hey, we got to go 1-0, right? Because at the beginning of the year, it was, let's prove everybody that we're not a joke.
Yeah.
And I meant to say this a while back, but you got to think that there's guys like Woody Washington, there's guys like Jordan Kelly, who are on this defense, and they still remember like winning football. Not good defense, because we haven't seen that since the 30s. But they really do remember winning football. And then Stutzman and Billy Bowman, stuff like that. Now they get their time to shine, and we go 6-7. So this year was a prove it year, just to prove not only to our fan base, but the rest of the nation that, like, listen, this team, we're putting something together, and this is different. And so I hope to see that, you know, that is the 100%, you know, cadence going across the practice field, you know, in the dorms, in the training facility, is, guys, 1-0 this week, right? Because if you start looking ahead, you start getting out of there. And, you know, I don't want to see, like, when Texas played Rice, that just didn't look like a great game. It didn't look crisp, and it made a lot of people doubt. I want to see them go out and just take it to them, because You're 6-0 against the spread. This is a 19.5, 20.5 spread. I mean, there's a good chance that we win 41-20 and we have a disappointed fan base. Like that's nuts.
Here,
Bless.
I definitely agree with you, Coop. I'm gonna end this conversation on this note right here. To me, this game could either go like Coop just said, a 41-20 game where we're just kind of sitting here disappointed because we felt like, hey, we should hold them a little bit, you know. But I want to bring everybody's attention to one game that I say is a very, very eerily similar offense that we faced. And I'm going to dip back into last year. And that's what's crazy. Early last year, Nebraska, Scott Frost. I don't care that Scott Frost wasn't on the sideline. They still weren't running that offense. And the whole thing is that both of these offenses are just Carl Albert struggling. Oh, either way, they are still they are eerily similar. And it's a lot of working parts, a lot of different things have to happen. But when it's working and they're running it, they're chiming. So thing is that I see us going out there, having a great defensive showing, putting up some numbers offensively. I'm going to go around the table and let you guys pick your score. I'm going to go. I think we score. I think it's 48-13. That's going to be my score.
You say 38-13?
No, 48-13.
48. Okay, I was going to say, I was like, me and you're going to have to throw fists. Jason, go. Mine's written right here.
52-10.
You son of a bitch. All right, so I have 55-10. 55-10.
Well, there you go.
And I'm 100% okay if we are going into the fourth quarter and they scored a junk touchdown. Like, that's not going to bother me. What you want to see, you're back home, you're in the fans. This has got to be pretty terrific for these players because they've been rallied behind this whole year. But your first home game, it was more about Brent's wife. Your second home game, you have a little issues. Tulsa doesn't really count, but this is our first game since coming home as somebody. And so the fans are going to be crazy. And so let's see if we can get that first, the first quarter, come out with a crisp drive. You want to see the details. Let's major in the minors this week and really, really focus on the details.
No, I got you. So, man, look, that's where we're at. That is where we're at. Let me go back up here real quick and grab this question that I was asking. There we go. So quickly, I'll just get you guys' thoughts on this. Jason, I'll start with you, and then Coop, you go ahead and go. What are your expectations for the next 6 games? And don't give me that just 1-0 crap. Go ahead. Let them hang right now. Let us know what y'all feeling.
They need to win. My expectations, they need to win them all. They need to win them all. And that's all. I mean, this is for what's in front of you. You need to go out there and make good on it and win them all. And that's why, to me, and this is something that we haven't seen in 23 years as an undefeated program. Go out there and handle your business week to week. I think that this team is set up to do it. I think that the schedule sets up for them to do it. There's a couple of games that you got to concern yourself with. The Kansas road game, if Jalen's ready, that could be sketchy. I guess Bedlam is not an okay one to lose at all. Period. It shouldn't even be close. They should step on their neck immediately. And then the BYU game, I guess you could be a little bit of concern. That being said, go win the shit. Just go win it because you need to. If you want Dylan to get the Heisman nod, you got to win them all. If and if you want a CFP, I don't think you can afford a loss. I don't think you can. Even if you were to lose one and beat Texas again, it concerns me because there's going to be a couple of opportunities to not get in that way. And I think that if you want to make sure, you need to win them all. So, expectations, it's hard to say that you expect it, but they need to do it.
Yeah. I mean, Jason, I sat on your show and picked it in front of the Big 12 panel, and everybody looked at me like I was crazy, and they were shaking their head. Guys, I bought into what we were, and we fixed issues that we had last year. Right? It was maturity, it was depth. I'm going to say something later in the show that is going to resonate with a lot of people, but. I don't think Oklahoma State is anything that you worry about. You know what's going on. There's plenty of bulletin board material. You can say that. I mean, the only game that I really am, let's see what happens next week. Is there a Superman type of performance in Daniels? I don't think so. I mean, I think that this is a situation where there's a lot of rumors of injury. There's a lot of rumors of like he's maybe protecting himself for the NFL. I'm just saying, if you show up to Big 12 Media Day with with an Apple Watch playing your highlights around your neck, you better step on the damn field and do something with it, because now you kind of look like a punk. But I feel like that TCU is a Jekyll and Hyde team. What are they going to do? And are people going to see us as the wounded duck Oklahoma and take us for granted, or they are going to come at us like they typically have done in most years and give us their best shot? So if we're ponying up and you win these next 6 games, I'm not worried about BYU. I've never been worried about BYU. BYU does Houdini towards the end of the season. All those guys are 36 years old playing on that football field, so they're tired and they're ready to get done. So yeah, it's going to be. And here's the thing: everybody wants to talk about the rematch of. I think there's going to be a rematch in Arlington, and I think it could be Iowa State, or it could be Texas. Iowa State's found something, and they're going to continue to get out there and play ball. And so, but you got to go out and win. You're favored. You're probably going to be favored largely. And minimum 8 points over the next, 6 games, and you may be favored against Texas, in the Big 12 championship game. So, this is why you play the game.
Yeah. Look, for me, I would just say I expect to go 6-0, man. I expect to go 6-0 the rest of the way. I've seen some of these teams, and like you said, they are. It's kind of a Houdini act. This is not to say that we're going to assert dominance. We're not going to have a couple of games that, because the big thing is I can't wait to talk to Coop. Shout out to Coos. I can't wait to talk to him about the West Virginia game, because last year, this year, I don't think this is a year where they can get away with the quarterback blast, the quarterback power, and then just running slants the entire game. I think we're better defensively, and we know what we're running, and we know what we need to do. So that's going to be something. But I think that if you could get through these next 3 games and you're 9-0, you give yourself a chance. I think this is the tone setter. I think that next week is yet again another really good test to go up there. Even if we're just playing Bean, I think Jason Bean lit us up last year. So it's still a good.
There's no reason for you to not. Yeah, there's no reason for you to not get up for him. That's for sure.
The last 2 years, Jason Bean has done really well against us. So this is a step in the right direction to go up there and say, hey, let's take over. And then OSU, you get past that, then I mean, your last 2 out of 3 games are at home. You have a trip to BYU, which could possibly be a 2:30 kickoff at the very latest, in my opinion. So I think you set yourself up very well, but I think that it's definitely on the table to go undefeated, something that we haven't done in quite some time. So just got to stay healthy and stay focused. That's the biggest thing. But just got to do you, man. Just got to do you and just play your keys. BV is going to put them in a situation to go win. Yeah. It's going to take everybody. It's going to because I need Levy to call a hell of a game like he did during Texas, or what. That's just got to be consistent for the rest of the year. So with that being said, let's go ahead and shift gears real quick. We picked up a big time commitment today. Boganowski finally. It felt like that whole recruiting process was going on for about 6 years, but finally committed to the good guys.
That is a big one.
We're there. So Coop, I'll go back to you, man. What are your thoughts about Boganowski, and what does he add to our team?
He's just a physical freak. I mean, just plain and simple. And you're starting to see the type of Brent Venables types of guys, like a Simmons, that are just these guys are just, it's just nuts. I mean, he's 6'2", 200, and he's probably going to get bigger. He's one of those guys that, depending on which coaching staff, this guy could be, a stand-up outside linebacker. He's a few biscuits short of like a Jared Mechanic, like weight, or Kip Lewis weight right now. And so he could be there. He could play cheetah. He could play safety. If you're playing Texas and 3 defensive backs are hurt, maybe he lines up at corner. He is just a dude. I mean, he is going to, he's coming in. I've made this comment in the past, but the days of our safety room being full of guys that you're like, why are they on the field? Bookie Hadley, Pat Fields, Justin Broyles, all of these guys, it ain't it. And when you see the safety room right now, you've got Peyton Bowen. I mean, this is for the future. So Peyton Bowen, Robert Spears Jennings, 6'1", 210-ish, Eric McCarty, 6'2", 180, Daya McCullough, 6'1-ish, Makari Vickers, Billy Bowman, Jacoby Johnson, Jaden Rode, Jaden Hardy, is already in the fold. And then you got him, potentially Reggie Powers, Jonah Williams, 5-star safety in the 25 class. Guys, we're going to get to a spot. When Venables came in and dumped the cupboard, where did we see all those guys go? I mean, what was the most, prestigious, place? Houston. Most of them went to Texas State or Virginia Commonwealth or Bartlesville, Dewey, intramural squad. I mean, none of these guys were anything. We're going to start seeing guys transfer out from this defensive backfield and go to big time programs because we are fully loaded with big, physical, athletic guys. And so that's what we're getting. He's got strong ties in Kansas, but Brent Venables does a good job. And he made the comment like I want to go work for that. And believe you me, with Reggie Pearson and with Key Lawrence, Billy Bowman, Peyton Bowen, that safety room playing and balling out like they have, bro. And Sooner Cowboys, you got it right. Jonah Williams, this is a guy in the 25 class. He might be the first 5-star to come on in. And right now, if you look at some of the boards, it looks a little like Texas lean. I'm hearing the opposite. So we've got some freaking dudes at safety, and I can dang near say that you can take your backup linebackers and safeties and put them out on special teams, and you just have a bunch of mutants running around just hurting fools.
I mean, hell, that's what it kind of feels like now on special teams. You see.
Yeah.
He definitely changed that feel around the special teams, putting your best players on some of your better players on special teams. So that definitely has changed. Jason, I mean, what are your thoughts about getting Boganowski?
Hey, it's the same as it's been about the rest of these guys, that you could just see this coming. And I think that we talked about it before the season, and when everything didn't go the way that everybody wanted it to go, we also talked about how, yes, you're going to end up with these guys and these guys, but you need to go out there and show that you can win now. I think last year was a situation where, because the defense was that bad, a lot of the young guys, they were, okay, well, we know Venables is going to do well, and we're going to have an opportunity to play early. I think it probably helped. This year, it would have hurt you if you don't go out there and didn't play very well on the defensive side of the ball. Mm-hmm. I think it would have hurt them. So, in the end, I think that, and I think it matters no matter what side of the ball you play on moving forward, is that, they want to see that this is not going to be what that stupid narrative out there has been saying, that Oklahoma is going to be just another also ran program when they get to the SEC, mm-hmm. that they recruit. It matters to them. When we had Nigel on the show, he acted like he didn't really care who they were getting offensively. But he did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It matters to him to want to go and win, right? It was just like, well, I'm there to do my job, and, it doesn't really matter to me with who they're getting, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, right. We knew better than that. But he was pretty good with his poker face. I got to give him that. To me, I think that it matters. And you see the way that these guys have really Well, they recruit each other. You know what I mean? And there seems to be a camaraderie for this class coming in. And along with the last class, that I think that they feel like this, and because they're going to be the foundation of a championship program. I think that it matters to them all.
Hey, Bishop has a good question. He said, do you think we address the punting game? I pray to God. I pray to God. I can only pray for that, man. That's got to get cleaned up, man.
I really feel like if this was an offense of old, and if we had a decent running game with this defense, we might just say hell with it. Let's just go for it because the punt. I mean, you might as well just throw up a jump ball and see if a safety pulls a Nathan Vasher and intercepts it all the way downfield like a fair catch. So I mean that punting game is bad, guys. There's not a tweak that's going to make that better. I think the blocking we can work on. As far as Plaster or Elzinga,
maybe put in better players, put in your best guys or something. I mean, Kchris said it earlier. If you go back to Stoops' first years, JT Thatcher, Antoine Savage, Curtis Fagan, Damian Mackey, Derek Strait, these guys were all playing. Teddy Lehman early. These guys were all playing on special teams, and these are all Americans. And but as far as the blocking thing goes, I have to look at it again. But I remember looking at the rewatch and going back and wondering why Plaster hadn't taken one more step back in the end zone. I mean, like Peyton Bowen's block. I mean, he blocked it with his shin because it's such a jailbreak. So I don't think that's going to change anything. But you can fix the blocking, and we're just going to have to put it up with 35-yard average. If I'm Brent, I am sending out emissaries to every single program, all the Fordhams and everything. Anybody who's got a punter who can put the ball down the field, I am dropping an NIL deal, and I'll help Brent. I mean, I'll help get one of these guys hooked up.
I just wish that Turk would have never left, man. I was like, why can't Turk just stay in college for forever?
He's getting paid now.
Yeah.
No touchbacks. No touchbacks though.
What I was gonna say to you. Hopefully all those things got fixed, man. I think it's gonna be a great matchup. Boganowski is another great addition to this class. I think there's still some conversations to be had with some kids, some kids that you may not even think that we were on the on that we didn't even make the list, but I think there's some conversations that will be had once they have another chance to kind of dig a little bit deeper into the recruiting ranks or whatnot, to be able to have some time to actually go and recruit, right? So man, I'm just hopeful for a great outing this week, man. To be quite frank with you, just kind of looking around, I let Texas live or whatnot, so I'm gonna do that. I'm not even gonna get with them. I hope they beat the hell out of Houston. Did y'all see that poster that Houston that graphic? It's Houston is crazy for what they're trying to do.
I love it.
No, one thing I will talk about though is this whole USC thing is crazy. USC and OU Twitter is like wild, what the wild west right now. You step out there, you're stepping on a freaking landmine. Then Riley hasn't made it any better. You got Caleb talking about he wants partial ownership of whatever team drafts him. They're saying that now Riley has put out feelers. It's a mess, man. It's a mess. And with all of this, and that even though Cam Rising is not going to suit up on Saturday, Utah is still going to play them pretty damn tight, in my opinion. Yeah. And that defense is not going anywhere, So
I think you're going to see a replay of last week.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, and I was going to ask you guys about this too, because this is something that I wanted to bring up. But does it seem like to you like Lincoln is maybe checked out again? Because dude, you don't even have easy passes for him to make. There's nothing where he's just on the end of the 3-step, boom, balls out. Nothing quick, nothing simple. Everything's down the field, and maybe it's because he's gotten away with doing that, like what Teddy and those guys were saying on their show. Maybe it is that. But what I've noticed is a lot of they're not running the football, number one, and that's something that I have always respected out of Lincoln, was the fact that he will get north and south on you and run the freaking football. In air raid be damned, he was going to run the ball.
I don't know if you guys.
They have one of the best running backs in the freaking country. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I don't know if you guys remember, and and I'm asking a big one here, and maybe you guys in the chat, but I remember back in, I want to say it's the late 90s, early 2000s. I think that the Bears had another badass defense. I think Tommy Harris was on that team, and their offense could not do anything. I mean, just absolutely nothing. And they were getting in fights on the sideline, and just it's like, do your damn job, that type of a thing. Well, I mean, for me, if I'm Caleb Williams, like, I have done everything I need to do. The only thing I risk, what can Caleb Williams, national championship ain't happening. So let's not talk like, well, ifs. What is the number one thing that Caleb is just in the season? Just get done. And he's going to do that. I think that the ownership piece is probably, because there's also been the talk about him, not going into the draft, depending on who the number one pick is.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not taking Cliff Kingsbury 2.0. I'm gonna leave Lincoln Riley right where he's at and let some other college program watch him not play defense, not care about anything outside of recruiting a 5-star quarterback. He knows what he has in Malachi Nelson, and that is an untested potential guy. And Malachi Nelson turns out to be a Spencer Rattler, then you see the same situation you saw here. Yeah. I don't think that he's they're not able to put him in and to get anything done. So, if I'm Caleb, I'm just I mean, like Mike just said there, I'm twisting my ankle after this game, and it is a high ankle sprain, and I've consulted my Beats administrator and everything else, and I'm sitting out the rest of the season because there's nothing.
I think a lot of it just media propaganda. Be honest with you, I just said the Utah piece just to add to the heat of things, but this is a game that typically Lincoln Riley has his team play up for. It's a home game, and usually when we would drop a game like he did, to Notre Dame or to Texas or whatnot, we come out there and we beat the hell out of just about everybody else that we faced
this week, though.
Yeah, and that's kind of the scary part. For me, honestly, I just don't know. It's a lot.
They may win. They're not going to win big. There ain't no damn way.
It's a lot, man, because there's obvious problems up there. But I mean, hey, it kind of is what it is. It's just kind of funny. You couldn't recruit at OU, right? Unsophisticated feds, right? Last thing we'll talk about before we jump out of here, because I know Jason is I think Jason's going to do another show after this as well. But what I was going to say is simply this right here. People in the comments were talking about this too, but how in the hell? Okay, this is, please somebody answer this question. How in the hell do you send somebody to go and steal signs allegedly send somebody to go and steal signs from opposing teams, and you still get your ass beat by TCU? Now, that TCU team last year was historic for them in their own right, and I'll give them that. And they made it to the college football national championship game. Throw out the result of the Georgia game, but they made it to the college football, the final, right? But you're still sitting there saying, like, y'all had that game won at several times, y'all had several chances to take over the game, but then y'all let it get away from y'all. How the hell does that happen if you're stealing signs? And I don't know, man. It's just crazy to think, they're coming after Harbaugh for something. Harbaugh did something to piss somebody.
It wasn't just stealing signs, though. It sounds like they were doing the Belichick thing and videotaping what they were doing on the sidelines and stuff like that. That's what I'm hearing. Is that not right?
I haven't heard that.
That's the way they're making it sound. It was a scout at the game that was doing whatever.
Yeah.
And so, here's my question. They score like freaking 10 points a game. What do you even need to bother with it for? It's Iowa. Shit.
What was Harbaugh in trouble? He had the first 4 games of the season because he had something else too.
Buying hamburgers for recruits.
Yeah, I mean, this is, when Kelvin Sampson got fired for texting too much, I thought, he's not 13-year-old girl. Like, why are we firing him for this? Like, this is ridiculous. And so, I mean, I'll just say this. It's, I was a baseball player, since you clowns in the chat are taking shots at each other from
grief. What are you
Uncle Rico style over there. But, if I could throw this football over the mountains. But here's the thing is people would watch me when I was on the mound, and they would watch for how my elbow twitched, how I held the ball in the glove, everything to see is this going to be, a fastball? Can they pull off something? That's what happens in baseball. It's what everybody was accusing Brett Venables of, Texas, he was stealing signs. All right. I mean, okay, stealing signs. But I mean, at some point, Harbaugh has just done pretty much everything that he could do. And now here we go. We've just got the opportunity to once you get caught, it's only going to roll downhill. So, I mean, there's just more and more and more. And somebody plants it.
I'm like, so what?
I'm laughing because they're just pushing. They're pushing him to the edge. It's not like Harbaugh couldn't just go get an NFL job right now. Like, he couldn't.
I know.
It's just, I don't know. It's just crazy to me. I'm like, how do you allegedly steal signs? I'm like, somebody go and hire the independent investigators who investigated the Astros. That may be a sore spot for some people in here, but I'm just saying, go get them and let them get to work, because this is crazy, because you already suspended him and now you're coming after him with this. I'm like, I don't know. Like, Michigan has been quiet all year. JJ McCarthy has been having himself a really, really good year, honestly. It's a lot, man. It's just some narratives, man. It's that time of the year where stuff starts coming out, but it's coming out an awful lot right here, smack dab in the middle of the season. And my final thoughts on everything would simply be this.
Investigating it should be for playing crappy schedules all the time. Freaking,
you could say that. My final thoughts on the situation is simply this right here with SC, and this is just the fact that, man, one loss and all this stuff, it's just like, that's crazy. One loss and now you're in a freaking wormhole like that. And then again, I'll say it and I'll keep saying it. You're allegedly stealing signs, but you get your ass beat by TCU. You're Michigan. All right, everybody. Hey, if you stop by, if you like what you heard, all the rest of that stuff, consider giving us a like, subscribe to the channel, do all those different things, man. We're growing. We're doing all that. But with that being said, Jason and Coop, go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you guys.
Hey, yeah, Jason Watkins, Hall of Fame College Football with Jason the Coach. You can find me at CFB-Pod on YouTube. We're going to actually be on in about 50 minutes. 50 minutes, hopefully get these guys on there. I just sent both of them the link to the show. We're going to be going over a few things about the second half. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the UCF stuff, but I want to talk a lot of the national stuff that we were just talking about in Lincoln Riley and some of this other stuff as well. So make sure you guys hop over there and check us out on the next show. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
If you go to the Twitters and you do a little Google search like this, and you look up Unfair Sports, you can find us. Coop Ride 1982 Unfair Sports Coop. Yeah, I mean, that's it. We got a fun second half of the season. This is a lot more fun than it was last year at this point. And so let's keep on rolling. And if you're paying attention to that, Carl Albert, I think it's 14-7 now. So I mean, it looks like Sperry. Okay, Steven just said it. Sperry just got a touchdown pass. I mean, that's two big teams. And they're both really, really good. And Guthrie's got some boys that have been playing together for a long time. And so you recruit a team, and it's hard to beat a well-organized machine.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, everybody, this has been another episode of the Horns Down Podcast. definitely like, definitely subscribe to the channel. Holla at us all. We'll see y'all out on the flip.